Welcome to Ragan Training. The following clip is an excerpt from a full course available exclusively to Ragan Training subscribers.
When thinking about your social KPIs, the first question or the first thing I always talk to people about is, what is your business objective on social? To help figure that out, I like to look at the sales funnel. So think about your campaign or think about what you're doing social on and look and try and relate that with the sales funnel. Is your campaign an awareness tactic where you're trying to get the message out to a large amount of people? Or is it further down the funnel where you're trying to do something more mid-funnel, like talk to people about consideration or intent? Once you know what your business objective is, that's going to be a key part to help frame your KPI conversation. Once you figure out your business objective and how that relates to your social campaign, the next thing I like to do is to think about all of the different social metrics you have access to. Something I like to think about when I think about social metrics is to think about the user journey when someone looks at social media content. When you think about how a user consumes social media content, usually the first thing that happens is that they're exposed to it, whether it's a post that's sent to them on their phone or whether they're on their phone scrolling through the feed and seeing what the algorithm serves up to them. When your content reaches the eyes of a user, that's exposure. And when you think about the social media metrics related to that, I like to think of things like impression and reach. The next step in the social media journey is consumption. Once you're served up a piece of content, the user starts to take it in. They start to watch the video. Or if it's a photo carousel, they start to scroll through and look at all the photos. So the kind of KPIs or the kind of social metrics you look at for that kind of stage would be things like views, view-through rate, and watch time. And then the last phase of a social media journey is after somebody gets exposed to content, after somebody consumes content, hopefully if it's something that they like, that's when they start to engage. So that's where you get all your metrics like likes, comments, shares, follows, etc. Now, what's important when you think about engagement metrics is that based on the level of effort of what it takes a user to engage, you can start to rank what are the more low-lift measures of engagement, like clicking like button, or what is a more valuable, higher effort, higher value type of metric, such as leaving a comment, or even thinking of a friend they want to share a post with and clicking that share button and sending it to a friend with a message. So now that you've thought about your business objectives and how they relate to your social campaign, and then after you start thinking of all the different social metrics you have access to, this is now where you start to put them all together, right? So now you can start thinking about your social campaign. So for example, let's say you're doing just an awareness campaign, right? Where the objective is to put a message out there for a brand awareness, right? So that means that you should be looking at appropriate social metrics that relate to social awareness. So in this chart right here, you kind of start to see metrics such as impressions, reach, are more important and could possibly be your KPIs that you want to choose for this campaign. Now, as you start going down that social journey, you can start taking into consideration those other deeper metrics like views and view rates as an indicator of the quality of engagement. So when you think about all these different metrics, what you're really essentially doing is you're trying to prioritize. And the ones that are the most relevant to your business objectives become your KPIs. And then after that, the ones that are below it, it's not that they're important, but they become supporting metrics that help you tell the story of how effective the content is. And then for working teams, those supporting metrics help tell the story of what that content, how that content performed, and what you could do to improve that content in the future.